There, I'm X King. Welcome to the new series, Straight to Streaming. This is a new series that I'm creating for my channel. This series is going to focus primarily on new releases that have hit streaming services and did not get a theatrical release. I decided to do this because I wanted to review more films this year, and I thought that this would be the best way to do that. Also, I get to talk about some more unique content because what we get in theaters isn't always the most unique thing, and we always seem to get a lot more unique items when we look at the streaming services. So I decided to do this review to show a light on those lesser known products. So let's start off by talking about Infiesto. Infiesto was directed by Pictix Emezekua and stars Isaac Ferez and I Iria Del Rio. I apologize if I mispronounced any of those names and if I mispronounced the title of this movie. This film is about these two detectives who, during the early beginnings of the pandemic, get this case involving a missing girl who has resurfaced. She's been missing for months and she resurfaces alive, and they try to put together exactly what happened to her. All the meanwhile, the early days of the pandemic are happening. So, this film is interesting. Now, I really am iffy on using the pandemic as a plot point. On one hand, it's a real tragedy what happened in the early days. On the other hand, well, we used other tragedies as like backgrounds for other movies, so I guess it's fine. But what really works for this film is how they actually use the pandemic to add a level of eeriness. Like the streets are completely empty because it's the early days of lockdown, and many like towns were completely like closed down and empty. No one was moving about, which just adds to the level of eeriness. Also, this affects our main characters' lives. Our One of our detectives' mother is in a nursing home. He can't go see her. The other one, her boyfriend is has to self isolate because he has COVID, so she can't be with him, and that creates another level of tension in the film. I really like how they use COVID to increase the tension of their story. That being said, the main mystery is pretty easy. In a film like this, I do want a tough mystery to drive the film, but here you can pretty much see a lot of the twists and turns coming. Our detectives go from one location, get some clues, and immediately jump to the next location. It's not really a huge jigsaw puzzle, and our detectives don't really make any mistakes. So you're able to quickly figure out what's going on. That being said, there is one major twist towards the end that I did not see coming, and I still enjoy films like this, even though I can solve these things pretty easily. I really did find myself enjoying the atmosphere and the way they incorporated COVID into the story. So I think I'm going to give this story a 6 out of 10. Then we have our characters, and here's where I think the film is a little more iffy. The characters really, we don't get a ton of time with them. This movie's only an hour and a half long. So we start off these characters being strangers, and we don't really get to know their personalities enough to really care about what happens to them in the film. Like for example, we're hinted at that our one of our main characters has an anger issue and will always cause problems. This also causes tension between the partners, and then you have the girl who's struggling to like get to her boyfriend, but she's trying to also care about her partner. It's really weird what's going on, but I feel like it could have worked if we spent more time with these people throughout the film. But the film just tries to keep itself moving that a lot of the tension is non-existent. So I really felt bad about this, but I give the characters a 5 out of 10. None of the characters are hateable. They're just a little one-dimensional. Then we have the performances. And the performers, even though they're not given the greatest characters, do hold up this film. They elevate it to different levels. Each of the actors, with their respective roles, is exactly what we want to see in this film. I would especially say this for our culprits. Uh, Without spoiling who they are definitely some of the better characters in the story. So that's pretty good as well. And some of our better performances as well. They bring a level of menace that they need to bring for this story. So I'm going to give the performers a 9 out of 10. Then we have our visuals. And I'll be honest, the cinematography and the use of the empty streets to add a level of eeriness are really good. I like the sets, I like the visuals, I like the cinematography. I think there's only one complaint I have, and that's this unnecessary explosion they just kind of have. I mean, it doesn't add anything to the film, and it's one of those instances where the characters are running away from the explosion happens in the background, and the characters are completely unharmed. It's really generic, and I don't like seeing that trope in films like this, and I felt it was unnecessary. But I feel like that's a minor nitpick for a film that does use atmosphere to its advantage. So I'm going to give the visuals a 7 out of 10. Then we have this musical score here, and the score, it's 50-50 for me. At times it does add to the eeriness and the creepiness of what's going on to elevate the story, but it also is very repetitive. It uses a lot of the same themes throughout most of the movie, and it just kind of drones on, and at times it adds nothing to the story. That being said, there are certain tracks that will add intensity to the situation, and I really did enjoy when those tracks kicked in, but I feel like the overall score as a whole is just kind of mid. So I'm going to give the music a 6 out of 10. There's nothing terrible here, I just wish it was a little bit better. So overall, I'm going to give Infiesto a 6 out of 10. I apologize for that attempt at an accent. Why did I do that? Anyway, that's my opinion on Infiesto. If you've seen it, let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. And if you like this segment, please let me know. I really hope this takes off. And I really hope to see you next time.